Winter is full of things that are easy to miss. You see them, you feel them, and then they are gone. A snowflake, a frost pattern, a certain kind of light, even the quiet of a snowfall. It shifts fast. And because of that, I love to go back to this phrase, winter proof. Not like an argument, but proof like a record. A way of saying, this happened, I noticed, and it mattered. Today I want to talk about the wonderful humans who do just that. The people who document fleeting things, not because they are trying to control nature, but because they are trying to understand it, share it, and keep the door open for curiosity. If you've been following along with my videos, you know that we are building a winter story. We've talked about how not every snowfall means snowflakes are falling. I use the term snowflake loosely. Sometimes it is other forms of precipitation. Sometimes conditions do not support beautiful crystals. Sometimes it is too dry or too cold or too windy, and the world is doing something different than we picture when we hear the word snow. We talked about different snow crystal types and how wildly varied they are. We talked about Wilson Bentley, who spent years photographing snow crystals, and what always gets me about Bentley is not just the images, it is the devotion and the patience, the willingness to pay attention to something most people never stop long enough to see. And that is where I want to live today, in that spirit. Because Bentley is one example of a much bigger truth. Humans have always tried to document what disappears. Before cameras, people drew snowflakes. Sit with that for a second. Imagine trying to sketch something that melts while you're looking at it. Imagine trying to record symmetry and detail while your subject is dissolving in real time. That is not just science. That is compassion, care, and attention. And when we say people drew snowflakes, it can sound tidy and calm, like they sat down and politely captured nature. But if you ever tried to draw something that is changing while you were looking at it, you know it is more like this. You're squinting, you're holding your breath, you're trying not to bump anything, you're watching a tiny detail fade and thinking, please give me just 5 more seconds. And your pencil is doing its best. In my circumstance, your hands are doing their best. This effort is what makes it so sweet. Because it shows you what humans do when the world offers them something quick and detailed and hard to keep. They try it anyway. They make the best record they can, and they teach their eyes to see it better for the next time. It's not only snowflakes. We document sunsets, we document lightning, we document waves, we document the way fog moves through a valley. We document auroras that flicker and vanish. We document frost on windows because it looks like winter wrote a message in a language we almost kind of understand. And every time someone documents something fleeting, they do 2 important things. They make it shareable and they make it learnable. Because once something is recorded, you can slow down. You can look closer, you can compare, you can notice patterns, you can teach someone else what to look for. Documentation is one of the most generous things a human can do. It is a way of saying, I saw something beautiful, and I do not want it to stay locked inside my private moments. I want you to see it too. And honestly, humans get very creative about documenting things. We invent tools, we invent microscopes, we invent photography, we invent macro lenses that let you see a world that was basically invisible to the naked eye. We've invented slow motion video because sometimes the real magic is in the part that happens too fast. We have time lapses because we want to see the part that happens too slowly. Individuals write weather journals, keep storm notes, and take photos we never post. We send a picture to a friend that just says, look at this. Sometimes winter proof is literally a person with a notebook writing down something that would otherwise be forgotten by dinner. Now, I want to connect that to snowflakes specifically because snowflakes are kind of that perfect symbol for this whole conversation. A snowflake is a tiny visitor from the water cycle. Water rises, travels, cools, gathers, and becomes clouds. It becomes crystal and then falls. And when it falls, it is not just falling as water, it is falling as structure, as geometry, as weather made visible. And what is wild is that a snowflake is mostly air. We picture snow as heavy, but individual crystals are delicate, scaffolds with a lot of empty space. That is part of why they drift the way they do. It is part of why they sparkle. It is part of why they feel so light and effortless. So, if a snow crystal is mostly air, then how much water is actually in one snowflake? This is one of those moments where I love doing a little back of the napkin wonder math. Not to be perfectly exact because snowflakes vary a lot, snowstorms vary a lot. A tiny plate is not the same as a big feathery dendrite. A dense rimed crystal is not the same as a delicate one. But even with a gentle estimate, the amount of water in a single snowflake is tiny. So tiny that you need thousands and thousands of snowflakes to equal something like a single gram of water. Annually, I capture nowhere near that. And then you need hundreds and thousands, even millions, to start adding up to what we would think of as a glass of water. And when you think about that, it puts winter into perspective because it means winter builds whole landscapes out of very small things, repeated enough times to matter. One tiny crystal is almost nothing on its own, but enough tiny crystals become a storm. Enough storms become a season, and then it becomes rivers later. And that is the water cycle doing what it does. So when someone documents a snowflake, they're not just documenting a pretty detail. They are documenting a physical story. They are showing how weather becomes shape. They are documenting a physical story. They are showing how weather becomes shape. And when you record it, you make it possible for someone else to learn from it. And that is why I think winter documentation matters so much. It's not extra, it's not indulgent, it is part of how we expand what humans know and what we think to look for. Now, I want to widen the lens to winter art for a moment because documenting fleeting things is not only photography and science, it is also art, and it has a huge range. Some people document winter by filming and photographing what winter naturally makes. Macro photography of frost patterns, videos of ice growing across a puddle, the way rime builds on branches when the wind is just right. Halo rings and sundogs, those moments when ice crystals in the sky bend light into geometry. Some people document winter by translating it into other mediums. They sketch it, they paint it, they make cyanotypes where sunlight and water reveal an image. They make ice lumens where frost and photographic paper make something unpredictable and beautiful. They build snow drawings, big geometry made by walking. Some carve ice sculptures knowing they will eventually disappear. Different approach, same impulse. To witness, to record, to share. Ultimately, that's how we learn and grow as humans. And this is the part where I want to say something. We live in a world that tends to trust what is permanent, but fleeting things matter too. Sometimes the fleeting things are the ones that make you pause and feel like the world is bigger than your routine. The moment you notice frost on a glass and it stops you for a second. The moment you see a perfect snowflake and you realize weather can be that detailed. Documentation gives those moments a little more time in the human world, and it gives those maybe without access the ability to enjoy it too. Not to trap them, just to honor them and learn from them. The proof of little moments you were paying attention that will disappear. Now, a quick studio update. I've been doing Sunday gallery updates as snow allows. We had a big snowstorm last night, January 24th into the 25th, and I am waiting to see how those cures go. It has been a very dry and very not snowy winter in Colorado. I'm working on getting new capture videos up from this season so far. The dates I am compiling right now is the December 3rd, January 8th and 9th, and now January 24th and 25th. So those will be coming as soon as I have time to sit down and get them put together. Next Sunday, I will have another gallery update, so if you haven't had a chance to go check out what's in the shop today, definitely do that. Next Sunday, I am going to dive into some winter art that is simple and doable even if you're busy. We are starting with cyanotype, the deep blue sun print process that feels very winter in the best way. So my question for today, what is a fleeting thing you have seen that you are glad someone documented? It can be winter related or not, a snowflake, lighting, a sunset, a childhood place, anything. I'll see you next Sunday.